We are back on this 2005 Toyota 4Runner that I only paid $1,000 for. And the reason I got it so cheap is because it was wrecked in the front end. Also, it has 317,000 miles on it, and the interior was in pretty rough shape. If we look at the overall picture of it, this car should have been scrapped, but I really wanted to save this car and turn it into my new daily driver. In the first episode, I fixed most of that front end damage. I replaced the hood, the fender, the inner fender. I pulled out all that frame damage with my frame machine. And while I was at it and replacing a lot of suspension parts, I figured I might as well upgrade it and add a 3-inch rough country lift kit to it. There's also a couple other surprises like the radiator being busted, the power steering pump needing replaced, and the front hub assembly being bent that I need to replace before I could drive this thing back on the road. I got all that fixed and repaired, and now this thing runs and drives great. I haven't been able to take it up to highway speeds yet because I don't have the front end all back together, but I have no doubt that this thing is going to be a good running and driving vehicle. In the last episode, I turned my attention to the interior, and it was in really bad shape. It had ripped seats, the carpet was completely destroyed, the dash was all cracked up, but I completely turned it around and tried to get it back into OEM shape as good as I possibly could. I installed brand new seat covers on both the front seats. I swapped in a better conditioned carpet because the original one had a bunch of rips and stains in it. I was also able to find a good conditioned dash that I was able to swap out for this old cracked beat up one. And lastly, which has been a controversial thing, I upgraded the OEM radio to one with CarPlay and a backup camera and a much bigger screen. A lot of people think it looks tacky. I, however, like having a newer radio in my car, being able to have Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, being able to see my directions on the radio. I really prefer all that, so all in all, I like this radio in here. Now, after getting all that work done on it, here's the total price I have into this car as of right now. But we are not done yet, because there's still more to do on this vehicle. Eastwood hooked me up with everything I need to completely paint this car and give it a full color change. I teased it in the last episode of what this color was going to be, and now it's time to reveal it. This color is the Toyota Smoky Blue color. It's the new 2025 TRD color that comes on the 4Runners, and I believe the Tacomas too. I think it's going to fit perfectly on this car. It's a clean, simple, and it's not overly metallic, which I really like. Now, fully repainting a car isn't super simple. It could be if you just want to paint the exterior. I, however, am a little bit picky. I prefer the door jambs and everything to match. So that is what I'm going to start off with. We're going to work on the underside of this hood. I also have both the fenders off the car right now, so I'm going to paint the inside of those. It's a lot of work, but I think it's going to be worth it. Let's start. This paint color just looks so good. I love it. It also only took one coat to cover this, which is really impressive. That's not super surprising to me because pretty much every time I've used Eastwood's paint, it's covered really well. Overall, I'm super impressed and I really like the color. I'm gonna go ahead and set this out in the sun so it can dry, and then we can flip it over, do a little bit of body work on the top, and then paint that side too. Take off the door panels, mirror, take off the doors. are so sensitive, I don't want to break them. Like that. God, it's annoying. I don't know how to take them off without breaking them. It's shattered in a million pieces. It's so annoying. I don't see much as far as dents on this hood, but there is a lot of chips in the paint along with some cracking. I'm gonna take it down as far as I can and then prime it all. Mirrors are in pretty good shape except for this passenger mirror. In the collision, it got a little bit damaged right in the corner here. Throw a little bit of fiberglass on there and that should fix it right up. It's time to prime all these parts. I got all the body work done on them. This rear bumper had a little bit of body work had to do to it. Front bumper is all scuffed up, ready for some primer. This hood is completely sanded down. All looks really good. And lastly, the worst thing to fix was that mirror. Got it looking pretty perfect. Time to spray some primer. I use Eastwood's 2K urethane primer. This is a thick primer that's gonna cover all the sand scratches, all the body work you've done to it. It's gonna smooth it all out and make it look perfect. That way we can sand it back down again and then put the actual base coat on there. I have about 1 million parts spread out everywhere, but we're in the home stretch now. All I have to do now is put the doors back on, the rear hatch back on, and paint the last little bit of it. Last pieces to paint, these door handles. But it looks pretty good for a garage paint job. This paint actually turned out pretty good, but it does stink that it's not the same exact color as the rest of the car. And you know what else stinks? I do. After spending the last few days sanding, painting, and finishing up this 4Runner, it gets rough out here. That's why I've been using Mando, deodorant made for regular guys who actually get their hands dirty. It gives you long-lasting, whole-body odor control that holds up through long, sweaty days like this. Plus, it doesn't have any of those overpowering smells, just clean, simple, and it works. It even works great when I'm out on the golf course with my buddies, sweating through 18 holes in this Florida sun. And when I'm not fully prepared for the day, I got these disposable wipes, which are perfect to keep in my glove box for a quick cleanup before I spend any time around people and I do not want to smell bad. And their body wash, it's legit. Removes odor better than regular soap and keeps you feeling fresh way longer. So if you're like me and tired of smelling like paint fumes, body filler dust, and even just body odor, check out Mando by using the link in my description, or you can scan this QR code right up here, and you too can be smelling better, just like me. Now let's get back to work on this 4Runner. It's a pain. Can't get over how much I love this color. Now I know you noticed, it does have a two-tone thing going on, and that's not really on purpose, but it's a happy accident because I really like how it looks. I'm not really too sure how it happened. There's a couple reasons that could have went wrong. First thing it could be is metal and plastic do react to paint a little bit different. If you look at a lot of cars out there, the bumpers look a little bit different than the fenders. It just depends on how the paint lays down and stuff like that. Another thing is I could have put less coats of paint on certain body parts versus the other ones. Another thing is the temperature changed here in Florida pretty drastically over the past few days. It was up in the 80s and 90s, now it's down in the 60s and 70s. That definitely plays a factor in how the paint lays down and could affect the coloring. And then the last thing it could be, which I think it more likely is I used a different clear coat for the body versus all the plastic panels. I ran out of the clear coat that I normally paint with, so I was stuck using my backup stuff for the body. Clear coat does, and it really affects how the paint looks. It could make it darker, it could make it a little bit lighter. But like I said, it's a happy accident because I think it looks really cool like this. Adds a little bit of dimension to it. Overall, I'm just really happy with how it looks. Of course, it does come with a little bit of flaws. Let's take into account that I'm painting this in my garage where I do all the rest of my work. So dust and dirt and bugs can play a big factor into it. But for a garage paint job, this turned out really fantastic. When I was installing that Rough Country lift kit along with the new suspension, I took a look at the brakes. The front brakes look in pretty good shape, but the rear brakes definitely need some attention. I ordered a new set for those. Let's go ahead and pull this thing into the garage, get those fixed, and then maybe take a look at these wheels and tires. That one's really bad. The tires on this SUV are actually in really good shape. Still have a lot of tread on them, not showing any signs of dry rot or anything like that. But these wheels, they don't match the style I'm going for. But Rough Country sent me out a new set. Let's go and take a look at those. Well, I messed up. I bought 17-inch tires when I should have bought 18-inch. Unfortunately, these tires are no good to me. Luckily, I didn't pay much for them, but we gotta find some new ones. Until I find some new tires, let's go ahead and finish this body up. I got a couple extra little goodies I'm gonna install on it. This one should be right. That one's the wrong color. Maybe we'll try them both on. See which one looks better. It's a lot of lights. Hot. Time for an oil change. It's at the worst dipstick spot. Perfect. Wow. That is surprising. I don't know if I've ever gotten one off by hand. One quick email and they had this thing shipped to me and delivered in 2 days. Mistakes happen. I wasn't really too worried about it, but they made sure to get it right. Let's go ahead and get this tire mounted and installed. This riding's pretty smooth. Nice. Braking fine. good to go. The tires do rub a little bit on some sharp turns. Did a little bit of trimming, but other than that, it's riding pretty good. If I hadn't bought this car, this thing would have went straight to the junkyard. But I saw potential in it and I decided to rebuild it and make it better than it ever was. And I think this turned out even better than expected. Going back to episode 1 was all about getting it roadworthy again. I wanted to replace all those damaged body parts. I needed to sort out all the suspension and make sure it was actually safe to drive, make sure it was actually worth rebuilding. In that episode, I spent $1,446. Moving on to episode 2, that was all focused on the interior of the car. Along with the exterior, the interior of this car needed a lot of love and a lot of attention. New seat covers, new carpet, had to completely rip out that old dash and put a new one back in there. Overall, the interior looks amazing, turned out really awesome, and I only spent $686 on that. And now moving on to this final episode, it was all about the aesthetics, getting the paint looking right, getting everything buttoned up and ready to be back on the road. The paint alone, the base coat, the clear coat, reducers, primers, everything else, that came out to right around $790. Moving on to these rough country wheels, these look absolutely awesome. I love the bronze look paired with the blue in the car. It really fits the look of this car. Those came out to be $1,080, and then tires I picked up locally for $200. These tires are pretty much brand new, so that was a really good deal. Then there's a few extra expenses, like all the maintenance stuff, the oil, the windshield wipers, and I added these decal graphics on the side. All in all, probably another $240 and all of that stuff. So with all the parts together and the $1,000 price point of this vehicle, that brings the total price of this car to right around $5,800. Now, if I was looking to sell this 4Runner, it has 317,000 miles on it. I have learned that high mile vehicles have been a little bit more difficult to sell than anything else. But this being a Toyota and pretty highly sought after, I don't think I'll have a too big of an issue selling it. If I was to sell this, I'd probably make right around $1,000 to $2,000 on it. But I did not build this one to flip. I built this because it's gonna be my new daily driver. My current daily driver is a Honda Element. I'm getting this one cleaned up and ready to sell because I needed something a little bit bigger, something to tow a trailer with. And really, I just wanted something different. And also my second daily driver, which is a 2004 Volkswagen Beetle convertible, actually blew up on me the other night. It was totally my fault that I blew up the motor. I ran it completely out of water. It's a whole long story. But this thing is basically scrapped now. It's unfortunate because I had plans for this, but we'll have to move on to something different. In the end, I learned a lot from this build, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. It's not perfect. There's flaws in the paint, not to mention the different color two-tone thing that's going on. But other than that, this thing turned out absolutely amazing, and there's really not much I would change on it. But that is what I think. You guys let me know in the comment section what you guys think. If there's anything that you'd change, anything that you would add on this car or maybe go about differently, let me know in the comment section down below. And that is a wrap on this car right now. If you guys have an Instagram, you guys can check me out there. I post a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I even posted some sneak peeks of what this color was looking like and getting this 4Runner back together. You can check me out there if you want to. What should I buy and rebuild next? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next rebuild.